Let me tell you something most people don't understand. When God is about to bless a woman, life doesn't get easier first. It gets stranger. It gets heavier. It gets quiet. Because before the blessing shows up, God prepares the woman who will carry it. Here are 5 shocking signs you'll notice when God is about to change your life. One of the first signs is loss. People start leaving your life. When people start leaving your life, it can feel confusing, painful, and even personal. You begin to question yourself. You wonder what you did wrong, why the calls stopped coming, why the energy shifted, why the people who once promised to stay suddenly disappeared. But here's the truth most people don't learn until much later. When God is about to bless you, removal often comes before reward. What feels like loss is often protection in disguise. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk with you forever. Some people are only assigned to a chapter, not the entire book. They were meant to support you in a season when you were learning, growing, or surviving. But they are not equipped for the version of you that is about to rise. And when God begins preparing you for something greater, He starts by clearing the weight that would slow you down. You see, elevation requires space. You cannot step into a higher calling while still carrying relationships that drain your energy, question your worth, or keep you tied to your past. Some people are comfortable with who you were, but uncomfortable with who you are becoming. They like you when you need them, but feel threatened when you no longer do. So when they leave, it's not always because you changed for the worse. Sometimes it's because you finally changed for the better. It hurts because you didn't expect it. You thought loyalty would be mutual. You thought history would be enough to make people stay. But history doesn't guarantee alignment, and time doesn't guarantee purpose. God is not cruel for allowing people to walk away. He is careful. He sees conversations you don't hear, intentions you can't detect, and limits you cannot yet imagine. Some people cannot go where God is taking you because they would distract you, delay you, or damage what He is building in you. There are relationships that feel familiar but are actually holding you hostage. They keep you small, keep you doubting, keep you explaining yourself instead of growing. And when God is about to bless you, He will no longer allow comfort to compete with calling. That's why the separation feels sudden. That's why the silence feels loud. That's why you feel the ache of absence so deeply. Because part of you was attached to what felt safe, even if it was no longer healthy. What you must understand is this: God never removes without reason. If someone leaves, it means their role is complete. They gave you what they could, and you gave them what you were meant to give. Holding on to them beyond that point would only create resentment, stagnation, and confusion. Sometimes God answers prayers not by adding more people to your life, but by subtracting the wrong ones. In these moments, you are being invited to trust God more than people, to stop looking for validation from those who can no longer see your value, to stand alone without becoming bitter, because the strength you build in this season becomes the foundation you'll need for the blessing that's coming. You are learning how to walk without leaning, how to believe without reassurance, and how to move forward without applause. And here's the part that changes everything. When the wrong people leave, the right things finally have room to arrive. New opportunities, new peace, new clarity, new connections that align with your purpose instead of draining it. God cannot fill hands that are already full of what no longer belongs, so He empties them first. So if people are walking away, don't chase them. Don't beg for explanations. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Let them go with grace. Thank God for the lesson, even if it hurt. Because what you are losing now cannot compare to what you are about to receive. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. And when the blessing shows up, you will finally understand why everyone couldn't come with you. Second sign is that there comes a moment in a woman's life when the things that once felt familiar suddenly feel foreign. The routines you used to enjoy no longer satisfy you. The conversations you once laughed through now feel shallow. The habits you once defended now leave you feeling empty. And you may not know how to explain it, but deep inside something feels off. This is not confusion, and it is not ingratitude. This is awakening. When your old life no longer feels right, it's often because God is quietly preparing you for something greater. At first, the discomfort is subtle. You still show up, still participate, still try to enjoy what used to make you feel alive, but your spirit isn't fully there anymore. You smile, but it feels forced. You listen, but you're not connected. What changed isn't the environment. What changed is you. Your standards have risen, even if you haven't said it out loud yet. Your tolerance for nonsense has decreased. Your heart now wants depth, purpose, and peace instead of noise and survival. This stage can be unsettling because you start to feel out of place in rooms where you once belonged. You begin to question yourself. You wonder if you're becoming distant, too serious, or too sensitive. But the truth is, you're not losing yourself. You're finding yourself. Growth often feels like loneliness before it feels like freedom. And when God is about to bless you, He will make sure you can no longer stay comfortable in places that don't match your future. The hardest part is letting go of what once worked. You may miss the old version of yourself, the one who didn't overthink, didn't expect much, didn't demand better. But that version was built for survival, not fulfillment. She did what she had to do to get through difficult seasons. Now you are being invited into a life that requires intention, boundaries, and self-respect. That invitation doesn't feel exciting at first. It feels heavy because it requires change. You may notice your desires shifting. You no longer want to be everywhere. You no longer need to be seen or heard. You crave peace more than approval. You value rest more than chaos. And this can create tension with people who are still comfortable living the old way. They may not understand why you don't show up the same, talk the same, or tolerate the same behavior. But growth doesn't need permission. It only needs obedience. When your old life feels empty, it's because it has already served its purpose. God does not allow emptiness to punish you. He allows it to move you. If everything still felt good, you would never leave. So He gently removes the joy from what is no longer aligned, not to take something away, but to push you forward. Discomfort becomes the signpost that says, you don't live here anymore. This season teaches you to listen inward instead of outward, to trust what your spirit is telling you even when your mind is unsure, to honor the pull towards something new, even when you don't yet see it clearly. You learn that outgrowing your old life doesn't mean it was wrong. It means it was temporary. Some seasons are meant to shape you, not sustain you. Eventually, clarity begins to replace confusion. You stop trying to force yourself to fit into what no longer fits. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop dimming your light to stay connected to what feels familiar. And in that surrender, something powerful happens. Space opens up. Room is created for new thoughts, new standards, and new opportunities that match the woman you are becoming. So if your old life feels uncomfortable, empty, or misaligned, don't fight it. Don't numb it. Don't run back to what no longer feeds your soul just because it's familiar. This unease is evidence that growth is happening. God is not taking something from you. He is preparing you for what's next. And one day you'll look back at this season and realize the emptiness wasn't the end. It was the beginning of alignment, clarity, and a life that finally feels right. Third sign is there is a season when life starts testing you in ways you didn't sign up for. Not loud tests that everyone can see, but quiet ones that happen inside your heart and mind. Your patience is stretched. Your faith is questioned. Your self-respect is challenged by situations that seem unfair, unnecessary, or exhausting. And you may ask yourself, why is everything suddenly so hard when I'm trying to do better? What you may not realize is that these emotional and spiritual tests are not meant to break you. They are meant to qualify you for the next level of your life. When growth is coming, pressure always shows up first. God does not elevate people who react the same way they did in lower seasons, so life places you in situations that expose how far you've really come. Someone disrespects you to see if you'll tolerate what you once accepted. A delay tests whether you'll trust God or return to control. Silence checks if you'll panic or remain grounded. These tests are not about the situation itself. They are about who you are becoming in the middle of it. One of the hardest tests is patience. You may be doing everything right, yet nothing seems to move. You pray, you wait, you stay consistent, but the results don't show up on your timeline. This is where impatience whispers that God has forgotten you. But patience isn't about waiting passive. It's about staying faithful without becoming bitter. It's about holding your character steady while everything around you feels uncertain. The ability to wait without complaining is a sign of maturity, and maturity is required for greater responsibility. Faith is tested when logic runs out, when there is no visible evidence, no reassurance, no clear sign that things are improving. Faith is believing before the breakthrough, trusting before the confirmation, and standing firm when emotions try to pull you backward. Many people believe when life is good, but faith is proven when life is unclear. And God often allows these moments so you can learn to lean on Him instead of outcomes. Self-respect is tested through people. People who push boundaries, people who show up inconsistently, people who offer less than you deserve and expect you to accept it. These moments force you to decide whether you will choose peace over people-pleasing and dignity over desperation. Saying no becomes harder than saying yes, but it becomes necessary. Each time you protect your self-respect, you strengthen the woman you are becoming. These tests can feel exhausting because they are repetitive. The same lesson shows up in different forms until you respond differently. God is not punishing you, He is refining you. Just like gold is purified through fire, your character is shaped through pressure. The reactions you choose now determine what you can be trusted with later. You cannot pray for a higher level while refusing to pass the tests of this one. There will be moments when you want to react the old way, to explain yourself, to defend yourself, to chase, argue, or prove your worth. But the test is whether you can remain calm when provoked, silent when misunderstood, and confident without validation. Growth looks like restraint. Power looks like peace. And strength looks like knowing who you are without needing others to confirm it. Spiritual tests also come as silence from God. Prayers feel unanswered. Direction feels unclear. But silence is not absence. It is often God teaching you to trust what He already told you instead of demanding constant reassurance. This is where your relationship with God deepens, moving from convenience to commitment. If you are being tested emotionally and spiritually, it means you are close to something greater. The tests are not signs of delay, they are signs of preparation. You are being trained to handle more responsibility, more blessings, more influence, and more peace. And when you pass these tests, you don't just level up your circumstances, you level up yourself. So don't grow weary. Don't question your worth. And don't assume something is wrong because things feel heavy. What feels like pressure today is building the strength you'll rely on tomorrow. You are not being tested because you are weak. You are being tested because you are capable. Fourth sign is there comes a season when the noise fades and the crowd thins, and you find yourself walking a path that feels unusually quiet. The phone doesn't ring as often. Invitations slow down. Conversations feel shorter. And even when you're surrounded by people, you feel alone. This season can be deeply uncomfortable, especially if you're used to connection, affirmation, or shared energy. But isolation is not always a sign of loss. Many times it is a sign of divine focus. When God is preparing you for something greater, He often removes the distractions so He can work on you in private. Isolation is where strength is built without applause. It's where you learn who you are when no one is watching, validating, or guiding you. In this quiet space, your thoughts get louder, your emotions become clearer, and your true priorities rise to the surface. At first, this can feel overwhelming. You may confront fears you've been avoiding, questions you've been silencing, and wounds you've been covering with busyness. But healing requires honesty, and honesty requires stillness. In isolation, God teaches you how to stand without leaning. You begin to realize how often you depended on people for reassurance, direction, or identity. When those external supports fall away, you are invited to build an internal foundation. This is where confidence shifts from being borrowed to being owned. You stop asking others who you are and start discovering it for yourself. The loneliness you feel is not meant to weaken you, it's meant to awaken you. This season also sharpens your discernment. Without constant opinions in your ear, you begin to hear your own voice more clearly. You recognize which thoughts are rooted in fear and which are grounded in truth. You start to notice patterns, triggers, and habits that no longer serve you. Isolation becomes a mirror, reflecting back the parts of you that need growth and the parts that need grace. It's not comfortable, but it is necessary. Many people fear isolation because it feels like abandonment. But divine isolation is not rejection, it is redirection. God is separating you from environments that will interfere with what He is building in you. Some relationships would dilute your focus. Some voices would confuse your direction. Some attachments would slow your progress. So God lovingly pulls you aside, not to punish you, but to prepare you. In this quiet season, your dependence on God deepens. Prayer becomes more honest, less rehearsed. Faith becomes more personal, less performative. You stop seeking God only for answers and start seeking Him for alignment. This is where trust is refined. You learn to believe even when there is no immediate feedback, no visible progress, and no external confirmation. And in doing so, your faith matures. Isolation also teaches you how to protect your peace. You become more selective with your energy, more intentional with your time, and more aware of what drains you. You realize that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. This awareness doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. You begin to understand that peace is not found in constant connection, but in intentional connection. There will be moments when you question this season. You may wonder why things feel slower, quieter, or less exciting. But beneath the surface, something powerful is happening. Your inner strength is being built. Your emotional resilience is growing. Your ability to self-soothe, self-reflect, and self-correct is being strengthened. These are skills you will need where God is taking you. When this season ends, and it will end, you will not emerge the same. You will return with clarity, confidence, and calm. You will no longer fear being alone because you will have learned how to be whole. You will no longer chase connection out of emptiness because you will be anchored in purpose. So if you find yourself in isolation, don't rush to escape it. Don't assume something is wrong. And don't fill the silence with distractions just to feel busy again. This is a sacred space. God is strengthening you, teaching you, and building your inner power. What is being formed in private will sustain you in public. And when the next season opens, you will be ready, grounded, clear, and unshakable. The last sign is this: there is a moment that comes before a true blessing arrives, and it doesn't look like excitement or celebration. It looks like calm, a deep, quiet calm that settles into your spirit without explanation. Nothing on the outside has changed yet. The situation looks the same. The prayers still seem unanswered. The results are not visible. And yet, inside you, something is different. The anxiety that once ruled you begins to loosen its grip. The urgency to control everything fades. You stop asking the same questions over and over. This peace is not denial, it is assurance. This kind of peace doesn't come from circumstances lining up. It comes from alignment within. It shows up when your faith finally outweighs your fear, when you've worried, cried, prayed, and surrendered so many times that you reach a place where you say, whatever happens, I trust God. That surrender is powerful. It shifts something in you. And when God sees that you are no longer panicking about the outcome, He knows you are ready for the blessing. You may notice that you stop chasing what once consumed your thoughts. You stop refreshing messages, checking signs, or forcing conversations. You're no longer desperate for reassurance, not because you've given up, but because you've grown up. Peace replaces urgency. Confidence replaces insecurity. and patience replaces pressure. This inner stillness is a sign that your spirit is anchored, even if your life is still in transition. What's remarkable about this peace is that it exists without evidence. You can't explain it to others because there's nothing to point to. You just know. A quiet confidence whispers, it's handled. That knowing doesn't come from logic. It comes from trust. It's the result of every test you've passed, every tear you've cried, and every lesson you've learned along the way. Peace becomes the reward before the reward. This is often the stage where people around you don't understand you anymore. They expect you to be stressed, reactive, or emotional given what you're facing. But instead, you're calm. You respond slowly. You don't argue as much. You don't feel the need to defend yourself or explain your faith. This is not weakness. This is spiritual maturity. You've learned that panic never produces clarity and force never produces favor. When peace arrives before the blessing, it's because your heart is no longer attached to outcomes in a harmful way. You still desire good things, but you're no longer dependent on them for your worth or joy. You've learned to be okay in the waiting, and that is a powerful place to be because blessings are safest in the hands of those who are already whole. This peace also brings discernment. You become more selective about what you allow to disturb you. You don't entertain every thought, every opinion, or every distraction. You guard your inner world because you understand how hard it was to reach this is calm. You've fought too many battles to give your peace away cheaply. And this protection of peace creates space for the blessing to arrive without chaos. Often, this calm signals that the heavy lifting is done. The inner work has been completed. The lessons have been learned. The dependence has shifted. God is not just preparing the blessing. He is confirming that you are ready to receive it without fear, pride, or panic. Peace is the final check before promotion. So if you find yourself calm in a situation that used to overwhelm you, don't dismiss it. If you're no longer anxious about things you once obsessed over, don't question it. And if you feel a quiet joy, even in uncertainty, recognize it for what it is. This peace is not random, it is a sign. The blessing is closer than it appears. And when it arrives, it will not disrupt you. It will confirm what your spirit already knew. You are ready. As you reflect on these signs, understand this clearly. None of them mean you are being punished, delayed, or forgotten. They mean you are being prepared. The people who left, the discomfort you felt, the tests you faced, the quiet seasons you endured, and the peace that now lives inside you were all working together for one purpose: to shape you into the woman who can handle the blessing that's coming. God never rushes the process because what He is building in you matters more than what He is about to give to you. If you recognize yourself in these signs, don't doubt the journey. Trust it. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time. What feels like waiting is actually strengthening. What feels like silence is actually alignment. And what feels like the end is often the doorway to something greater than you imagined. Hold your peace. Protect your faith. Stay obedient even when it's uncomfortable. The blessing will arrive at the right moment, and when it does, you will realize you were being carried the whole time. Comment below and tell me which sign you are experiencing right now, or type, "I trust God," if you believe your blessing is on the way.